Hello everyone, a very good morning to you all and welcome to KINITRO, an online motivational program for university students organized by the Classic Students Association of the University of Peradeniya. It's our first event for this year and we are glad and thankful that you've joined us here today. My name is Dinuki, and today we'll be talking about issues that students face with regard to their university education and also issues they faced while online learning, which has been happening for about a year now, and also questions they have had regarding classical studies. Um, Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone to keep their microphones and videos switched off at all times but if you do have a question you would like to ask the panelists, you can put them in the chat box, and we'll get back to it after at the end of the session. Um, Now I'd like to invite our club's president Ivanka to welcome you all to the program.
Good morning, all of you. Respectable speakers, Dr. Varunadatha Edirisinghe and Ms. Anushka Dhanapala, Senior Treasurer of the Classic Students Association of University of Peradeniya, Ms. Mudita Tharmasiri, and my dear friends, it's my pleasure to welcome all the participants doing for the online motivational program which is conducted by Classic Students Association of University of Peradeniya. I might likewise want to offer my thanks to our recorded speakers who have acknowledged our invitation to direct this program. The online motivational program is focused on the problems regarding academics under the prevailing pandemic situation. The program scheduled to the greatest interest for the university students, especially those who have an interest on classical studies. In additionally, I guarantee that the participants are enjoy and prefer. Obviously, it goes without saying that the greatest efforts went in preparing for this day, and I would like to appreciate the effort of all the members who work hard to make this event successful. Through this program, students will be able to identify their vulnerable places that include improvements as well as the usual changes needed in their lifestyles. In addition, the students will also be learned on how to solve their problematic issues under the online learning. I ensure the motivational program will be profitable and this time will be enjoyable and fruitful for every one of you. Thank you.
Courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees the others.
I've known many great men in my life.
A king isn't born, he's made.
If you go to Troy, glory will be yours. They will write stories about your victories for thousands of years. The world will remember your name.
Do you know who I am?
Achilles. I'll remember the name.
Will there be an Alexander like you? Alexander the Great.
Promise you'll conquer death!
The gods have a way of punishing such pride.
No man or woman can be too powerful or too beautiful without disaster befalling.
Before we begin the panel discussion, I would like to introduce to you our speakers today. Dr. Varunadatta Idirisinghe is a senior lecturer in Greek and Roman Studies at the Department of Classical Languages at the University of Peradeniya. She obtained her MA as well as her PhD in Classical Studies from Indiana University in Bloomington uh, in the United States. Her research interests include Greek tragedy, Hellenistic literature, and Lucretius. Dr. Varuni, we warmly welcome you to our program. Thank you for being here with us today. Our next speaker is Ms. Anushka Dhanapala, joining us from Australia. She's a PhD candidate currently at Australia National University, and her thesis is on the topic The Emotional Impact of Civil Wars as Reflected in Latin and Sri Lankan Poetry. And her research interests include late Republican and Augustan Rome and Roman literature. She's currently tutoring in midst of Greece and Rome at the Center for Classical Studies at Australian National University. Ms. Anushka, we warmly welcome you to our program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me also for the CSA for selecting me as a guest speaker and also for the staff of our classical department. Thank you for inviting me.
For our panel discussion today, we'll first be turning to Dr. Varuni to ask her ideas and thoughts on a few questions submitted by students. Before that, I'd like to ask Dr. Varuni whether she'd like to share something about herself, maybe something she's currently working on, or how has the experience since the pandemic began been for you?
Yes, yes, Benki. It's a new experience, and with the pandemic, we don't have an option. We just have to go through with it, and also learning as far as teaching is concerned. It's just the same teaching, but a new mode of delivery. We just deliver it online. So the material that we study and everything else is the same. It's exhausting, no doubt, and you spend more time working, and it's a strain on the eyes. You're constantly watching the screen. But at the same time, I feel that that we get to pay more attention to students because we don't see them. Um, and I also think that we get the message across better. We get the points across better, and we can also share material with them. And we hope that they're concentrating. And also when you ask questions and they answer, it's very encouraging. You know that they're following you and that they're learning. But things are a little uncertain when students don't attend class, but they could watch the recording, I suppose. So there are negatives and positives.
Okay, thank you, Miss. So currently we're in the second week of a new semester and a new academic year also. And not long ago, we had to pick subjects for ourselves at the beginning of the semester, like what we would like to do this year. Something that students, regardless of whether they're senior or junior in the university, face is that they are not quite sure what kind of subjects they should pick and which subjects are most suitable for them. Do you have any advice for students who find it difficult to pick subjects?
Well, you know that you have come this far. So you are in the art stream or that is humanities or social sciences. But then as far as the specific subjects are concerned, which ones do I pick? There are so many. I would say think if you have humanities skills or social sciences, and you know what they are because you have already gone through your first year. So I would say just think about what your strengths and weaknesses are. If you're good at analyzing tables, graphs, data, you would probably have social science skills. That's probably what you would want to think about. But you might have a mix. You might, and I have seen students who mix social sciences and humanities, and they're doing pretty well in both. So just think about what am I good at? What are my interests? and what really goes well with my likes and dislikes. What do I enjoy studying? Do I have do I think about the future, what I'm going to do in the future? Do I have a dream job? And what can you imagine yourself doing? And if you have those, what skills do I want to acquire? Where do I want to be 5 years from now, or maybe 10 years from now? What skills do I need to acquire and also sharpen? What opportunities are there for me? What's happening in the job market? If you want to think about those, if you want to be employed right away, you would think that then you might, if you don't have any of those ideas, you would probably have an idea of what you want to do in the future. What plans do I have for the future? What are those? What are they? Uh, you might want to start off with something now, something that interests you. There may be humanities subjects, there may be social sciences, or a mix of both. Um, but you know that you can always change your discipline later after your graduation. So you can change fields anytime, and there are so many people who have done that. Um, so just go with your likes, dislikes, and also as and when opportunities arrive. What you plan today may change tomorrow. We're living in uncertainty, so just be prepared. And for now, just go with your likes and dislikes, what you're good at, um, and how you use what you learn today is what really decides or determines usefulness. You can make anything useful if you give it a chance, if you try your skills on them, if you sharpen your skills. Just go with what you like, I would say, basically.
Thank you, ma'am. Suppose someone chooses classical studies to be their major, or someone who studies something else picks a course from the classics languages department. Are there any benefits or any skills that you can gain from classical studies?
Well, if you go with the traditional defense of classics, you would say classics is one of the oldest humanities disciplines, right? But what you gain through studying the lived experiences of people who have lived thousands of years ago, but we are all human. Human constitution hasn't changed. We think the same way. We do the same good things and stupid things. Our ability to follow instructions right now. What is really useful is our ability to wear a mask properly, to keep, to maintain distance, and to wash our hands frequently. That will keep us alive for right now. Okay, so those are all practical things. So when you study classics, you gain practical, intellectual, and theoretical skills by learning the experiences of people who have lived many centuries ago, but still useful. But look at epic, drama, literature, philosophy, oratory. Uh, they all teach us about human values. Think about the other person, the problems that humans go through, both with other humans and also the unseen, the natural phenomena which we don't see, but we see the effects of it. What are our strengths and weaknesses? What are the things generally that matter and pertain to human beings, both individually and collectively, like education, health and medicine, morals, behavior, science, art? All those things matter to us. And classics study those, and they show you the big picture and the small picture. You have individuals that are being concentrated on, individuals with problems which are applicable to all human beings, irrespective of the time, the place where they live. So the classics deal with universal issues that bother us today. And who would have thought that we would live a pandemic, which the Athenians did in 429? If you read Thucydides' description of the pandemic, the plague, just the same, just the details are different, the time is different, the people are different, but we're going through the same emotions, the same situations. So classics could never go out of tune because classics is about human beings. We study about human beings, and also classics teaches you to be the best that you can be, how to improve yourself, how to gain skills by analyzing people's problems, or Greek and Latin grammar. Uh, so it's not only knowledge but also experience of living in a world with other people, and as an individual too. There are so many leads to improve our lives, to tell us what are the bad qualities that we have and how to improve them. And also, the study helps you to the different aspects of the classical world, both uh, Greece and Rome. You find that we have the same problems that they went through, and this might give us sort of creative leads to find solutions to problems, similar problems that we encounter. And remember what Thucydides says, how his history is going to be useful. Because human nature being what it is, what I'm describing with the Peloponnesian War is likely to happen again. And we have seen that happening. And there are so many comparisons between the classical world and especially the 5th century Athenian setup and Roman imperial times, Republican and imperial times, and our experience now. How one person can change the whole world. One person infecting an entire world in a matter of months, or political ideologies, how that affect people's lives. So there are so many lessons, and I think what we need to do is we need to look at our study of the classical world in such a way that we look for what we can get from it. How relevant is it? But if you just think about it as just another top subject that I have to study, let me copy from somewhere, that's not going to help us at all. We're not learning anything when we imitate somebody else or take things, lift things from somewhere else. Just read your material and uh, just try to understand what you're reading. Try to reflect, and that is going to be very, very helpful in our lives, both in our private lives and in our professional lives. I hope
Thank you, Dr.
I answered that your question.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Like, if someone picks a history subject like Greek and Roman studies or any courses that are available in a department, with studying a history subject, there always comes the inevitability of remembering facts. And there's a lot. Is there a way for students to do this without less stress, or is there a way tips you could share with us to do this?
Yes. So remembering is very crucial. Memory power is very crucial in classics because you have to learn your declensions, your conjugations, your grammar. There are events, there are concepts, all kinds of things that you have to remember. And without your memory, you can't. Without remembering those, it's difficult to get along. I would say it works in different ways for different subjects, like say for languages. You would have to remember. Some people are good at visual memory. Some people see a verb conjugated or a noun declined, and they remember it. But I would say just think logically about what you're reading or what you're studying. If you have a logical sequence to what you're studying, understand the whole picture, but also try to understand it logically. So in the sense that what are the reasons for this? So try to understand the entire concept or entire drama or the issues that are discussed. It is there because there is some logical reason as to why those texts are there. So history, facts. I don't think anybody would ask. I'm sure you have to remember what happened which year, but you also have to remember the processes that happened. How did this happen? What was the effect of that? So try to understand the big picture so that the details will come inevitably. You will have to go back to the details in order for you to justify why you say something about some development. What are the reasons for that? So in terms of evidence, you will have those little details coming in. Some sort of do tables, some do graphs so that they remember, or they create stories out of the details. So you have to, I think you have to first be interested in your work. When you're interested in your work, um, you will find ways. You yourselves will find ways. I think it is different for everybody. Everybody will have the same. Not everybody will have the ability to remember the things the same way. You will devise your own ways. Like you would draw, you would write out, or you would read a couple of times so that you would get it into your system. Uh, so you have to think of what works for me. How would I remember things? Do I go for the logical sequence? Do I route it out? Do I write in big letters and small letters? Do I write in different colors, maybe uppercase and lowercase? But that is for languages. But also you will think of, do I understand what is this all about? So when you try to understand and list things down, you will inevitably have to go back to your book and find things in support to support your what you're writing. And also important is, if it's a text, say a page from history or a drama or literature, read the document, read the text in its entirety. Don't wait for to hear it from somebody. Read it yourself. When you remember, then you remember what you read because you have personal experience with the material. So what I have seen with a lot of students is that they don't read the texts. They just depend on somebody else, or they depend on the teacher, or they read a summary. That is not enough. Then you don't remember because you don't have experience with it. You have to read it yourself so that you get it into your system, and then it's hard to forget. You need to familiarize yourself with the material. Again, reading. If you're not familiar with something, then you don't remember. I mean, it's natural. Try to understand, and these things will help you remember. And also, as I said before, develop an interest in your work and keep on studying. Don't study now and pick it up 2 months later. What you need to do now, and we have 15 semesters because there is work that you're supposed to do during the 15 semesters, or it may be less or more, but you have to be at it constantly. If you're not, that's how our brains work. So you have to understand how they work and do accordingly. And also, what is the relevance of what I'm studying? That is also helpful. Is if you think, oh, this is useless, then you don't want to study, then you can't remember. Okay, so there are those. And also, get adequate sleep. I'm sure you're getting a lot of it these days, but get adequate sleep. That also helps your memory power. And also, something that is important that we don't pay much attention to is exercise. That also takes the stress out and that improves your memory power. So do this regularly and reduce stress. How do you do that? Don't engage in activities or conversations which stress you out. If too much of the pandemic is stressing you out, don't read it. The world is still there once you get back. Okay, so get yourself organized. That is very important. So if the semester starts today, make sure that you start your work today itself and keep going. And also engage in leisure time activities. And if you don't have leisure time activities, find some. Think of something that you can do to get the stress out, because stress will create a lot of health issues as well as mental health issues, uh, and will affect your memory. So you have to do things which you probably didn't do before now, but it's never too late to start. Do what works best for you, keeping in mind some of the
Speaking
things
of,
I said. Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, speaking about organizing, are there any tips that you could share with us to organize our study tasks or assignments? Because when we do get them, I guess some of us compile it and then we crash towards the end of the semester. Are there any tips you could share with us to organize plan out our assignments?
So start early, I would say. Don't wait until the deadline. When is the deadline? How late can I start? Don't think that. Just start early. If you get you'll be getting your assignment on the first day of classes or a couple of weeks before the deadline, because you have enough time to reflect on what you're doing. So start early. Uh, so don't wait until 2 weeks before the deadline to start thinking about your assignment. Start early. And also you need to understand what is required of you. Get all the information. What am I supposed to do in this assignment? How do I write an assignment? Because that can also be stressful. If you have not been told how to do it, that can also be a cause of stress. So learn the basics of how to write an assignment and start early. And also learn what are the specific requirements that the teacher wants you, and what the teacher would have told you. Go along those lines. And also take time to reflect on your topic. Think about, okay, this is my topic. I should read some material. What is relevant to this topic that has been done by other people? If it's about if it's a response paper, it's different. But if it's something else, so gather all the sources that you will need to write your assignment. Choose the methodology. How are you going to do this? What should I talk about? What should I analyze? What is the logical conclusion that I can come to? Think about it that way. Write an outline first, then fill out the outline. Manage time within the different segments of the assignment. Complete the tasks, the different things that you have to discuss in your assignment. Make sure that you give yourself enough time to discuss them, and make sure that you complete those sections in the assignment on time. Finding material, reading material, finding sources, examples. Make sure that you do it on time, and also work on a timetable. Prioritize. What am I supposed to do first? If you think of, okay, how am I going to conclude this? No, think about your topic first. The conclusion will come naturally, right? So if you start at the beginning, if you know what you're doing, the rest will come along. And also think on your own. Think about the topic for yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to say something and then sort of, lift it from somebody. Express your own ideas. You have a lot of good ideas. I know that. So have seen this throughout the years. Students have brilliant ideas that you yourself have never thought of. So put that into the assignment. And whatever is irrelevant, leave out. Work with what is relevant so that you can manage your time better. You can organize better. Just follow the logical sequence. If after A and B, you don't get X. After A and B, you have C. Think of it logically. And so in general, that is writing assignments. But if you're asked to write response papers, how do you react to what you read? Then you read the section. Just think about it. What do I think about this? Is it good? Is it bad? Some could have been improved. Just think about it. Just work on your own. Use your brains, and things will be manageable, and organization will come out naturally. And also, once again, for all of these questions, be interested in your work. If you're not interested, you can't start. You will not get anywhere. Interest is very important. And then writing outlines, planning.
Thank you, Dr. Varun. I think a question that is asked very frequently with regard to classical studies is what kind of career paths are available or accessible for someone who holds a classics degree. With other fields such as management or finance or economics, it's quite like they don't really ask that question because they are in demand in the world, but they are kind of skeptical when it comes to classic studies. Uh, what would you say? What possible career paths are available?
Yeah, so I would say going by what I have seen in the recent past, right now and in the recent past. Any job out there, except the professional jobs, like you can't be a medical doctor, you can't be a lawyer right now. Anything out there except the professional jobs, if you acquire the skills that the classics will teach you. Okay, so let me explain a little bit. Um, Now, having said that, I also would say arts graduates in general have a bad reputation in industry. Okay, just because they don't have the skills, they haven't acquired the skills, and that is the only reason. So when you speak to your friends in industry, what they say is arts graduates don't have experience, work experience, meaning in a work environment. The real world skills that the industry wants, arts graduates don't have. I'm not saying you don't have, but in general, okay? So in terms of classics, as I said, it's one of the oldest disciplines in the humanities. And if you look at everywhere in the world, especially during the countries which were under the British rule, people were given a classics education. It's the people in classics who held the top jobs in a country, and that is not because of they knew the classics, but because of the skills that they acquired by learning the classics. They were fast thinkers. They were good communicators. They had the communication skills, not only in not only in singular, but especially in English, because of the roots, Greek and Latin roots in English. And they're good at other languages, all the Romance languages based on Latin, Romance languages of today based on Latin. And they also have the ability to think fast, as I said before, and also to analyze, to understand the processes that work in this in human civilizations. So all the things that we study, the different aspects of our the subject, philosophy, whatever this drama, literature, whatever it is, we have a specific set of skills, theoretical, analytical, and intellectual skills that the subjects themselves give us. But in order to tap those, we have to study them as they should be studied. There should be a lot of discussion. We should reflect on the things that we study. We should talk about, express our views, our own views, as well as our reactions to what we read. So there's such a lot that is going on in classics. Every aspect of human life has been studied by the Greeks and the Romans, and especially the two together. And that gives us a ton of experiences. And as I said before, human nature being what it is, it hasn't changed over the millennia. We're still the same. We still can't follow rules, regulations. Even when your life depends on it, we still don't do that. We don't think rationally. And that is why this whole world is in this mess in a way. So, and classics has been at the very center of education in the world. You take America, you take Europe, you take South Asia. That has been there. So, but at the same time, the skills, the intellectual, analytical, all that, plus you will need work experience. Work internships will help you with that. These are real world skills and communication skills, and also especially attitude is very important. Your attitude and your ability to learn new things. Whether your degree is 3 or 4 years doesn't really matter anymore. Paper qualification doesn't matter at all if you don't have the skills. So the more skills you acquire beyond the basics like communication, there are jobs out there for you. If you don't mind, if I have a little bit of time left, I'll tell you about a role model, an arts graduate, not a classics. I'm talking especially about in general, an arts graduate, somebody who's big in the country today. He's one of the topmost. He worked in a top communications company in the country, the best, the most, the most renowned. He started off as a special degree in geography. He left the special degree program and went into a general degree program with geography, political science, and psychology. During his 3 years, he started working as a telecommunications operator, as a call center operator in an associate company of a big company. Gained experience. In no time, he was asked to train others. Then he went into, he studied digital marketing. Somebody who had done psychology, geography, and political science, studied digital marketing. And the company asked, he studied it so well that the company wanted him to train others. His ideas were sought. His experience was sought by the company. This is the top telecommunications company in the country right now. Okay. And so he was head of operations. He was in very different fields within the company. And when everything was going well, he left the job. Why? Because he started his own company. Now he's a renowned digital marketing educational consultant in this country. I'm revealing this information with his permission. He knows that I'm talking. So I thought that would, motivate anyone. So you can start off with just a general degree. It's the skills, it's your interest, it's your ability to learn. He went from a general degree to digital marketing. You can get other qualifications as your interests grow, as you discover your interests. So same, it's even better with classics. You're very creative. All of you are very, very creative. And you have ideas. Throw them out. Discover yourselves. With the help of the skills, the analytical and every other skill that you learn from studying Greek and Latin, the civilizations and the languages.
Thank you, Dr. Varni. So since like online learning began and we've been in isolation, those two combined with the students have become demotivated. And in your view, like as a teacher, have you noticed anything in your students' performance, or like are there any things you could share with us to teach them to pass this time, this tough time in a better way?
Yeah, unfortunately, I have discovered how the students are less interested. Some of them don't even turn up for classes, and that's depressing because you want them to do well, and you know that they can do well. They're skilled, but now I think it's also attitude. And also, as I said before, I started by saying that we teach the same things, same syllabus, nothing changed. We learn the same material, but it's the delivery is different, right? We deliver online. We don't meet in a classroom setting. Maybe you're missing your friends. Maybe they miss the students, the environment, the beauty of Peradeniya, the flowers, the trees. Maybe you're missing everything else in between. But then we don't have a choice, do we? We really don't have a choice. So imagine if you're stuck up in an island with nothing, nobody around. What would you do? Would you curl up and die or survive? We have the same options. We don't have any other option. Now, these 3 days, we can't even step out of the houses. Are we going to die? Are we going to be depressed? Are we going to kill ourselves? No. You can do that if you want to, but you wouldn't, right? So think about this is a good time to reflect. If you haven't thought about your future, think about it now. Where do I want to be 2 years from now? Maybe 3, 4 years, 5 years from now? What are my interests? Sometimes those interests might give you a lead to what you're going to do in the future. Maybe your whole life will change because of some interest that you picked up. Think about your likes, your dislikes, and think about all the options that are out there. Just search the web and see what's in the job market. And if nothing works for you, well, let's create a job. Now, the future of jobs is that you have to create jobs as and when the needs arise. So you have to get ready for jobs that are not created yet. That's what the people in the industry say. Now, a pandemic will create jobs that were never there before. Who would have thought that your local grocery store would deliver your goods to you? You never thought that. But they thought about it because that's a survival tactic in a way. And another way, we depend on deliveries like that. So you have to think, you're creative, and also think about things that you can do that you will attain, you will acquire, you will complete. Goals are always attainable things. What do I need to get there? What do I need to do to get there? And focus on them and be committed to those. Set up, write out, what do I like, what do I don't like? Think about what would I like to, you have to have some idea, right, of what you want to be. Whether, I mean, if you have ideas about what color you don't want to wear, so like that, I'm sure you have ideas about what do I want to do, what do I imagine myself doing in 3 years after graduation. So think about, so this is a time to think about your likes, dislikes, what you want, what you don't want. You can eliminate things and focus, narrow down your options, narrow down what you want to do, and pursue those. So there's no time to be demotivated. You're busy thinking about what you want to do, right? No?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask next, like, if there are, like, usually there are some students who have known since childhood what they want to become and what their ambitions and goals are. But there are others who don't really know what they want or don't think they can do it. Like, how can they create goals? Is it just by imagining what they want to do?
That's one way to start. If you're not very sure, just imagine, okay, what would I want to do? Sometimes you might create the job and be create it and put it out so that others will also live your dream. You know, that's why I said this person that I was talking about, he was in a big company. I mean, the top telecommunications company in the country. But he left it when everything was going well, because he wanted to start his own. He wanted to follow history. You can do that too. So you can start thinking. That's what I said, why I said think about your likes and dislikes. You can start there. What do I imagine myself doing? Do you imagine yourself in a maybe, and the other thing is, between the ages of say 21 and 30 or something, people keep changing jobs. And we have a graduate that I have to keep writing recommendations for every couple of years because she changes her jobs and she gets every job that she applies for. She stays in it and then she decides, no, I want to move into something different. Then she goes to another one. So you can do that. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. So unless you want to be dependent on your parents all your life, you don't want to do that. Maybe you do. It's comfortable. You don't have to do anything. It's comfortable, but that's not something you want to do. You want to, because you have a lot to contribute to the country as well as citizens of this country. So that's a national requirement. Or you might go outside the country, and wherever you are, you have to contribute to that country or that society, wherever you are. Okay, so follow your dreams. You might create a job for yourself and for others also who may share your dream. So there's the possibilities are immense, but at the same time, you also have to have those skills. If you don't reach out and acquire skills or sharpen the skills that you already have, you can't do anything. I mean, what's the use of a knife that can't cut? What is the use of a doctor who can't diagnose a patient? What is the use of a bus without its tires? It's a bus, but it's useless. You can turn it into a library or something else like that. Okay, so in order for anything to be useful, it has to be able to do something. But if it's a knife, it should be able to cut. Okay, so any degree, even a medical degree, is useless if the holder of the degree is not able to do anything with it. So your goals should be towards learning to do, acquiring the skills that will enable you to fit into any job. You may not have to pick your job right now, but acquire the skills that will get you somewhere, anywhere, that you can easily fit into any establishment. And I have spoken to friends who are in industry before today, and what they say is some people ask for a 4-year degree, with graduates knowing what they want, but I don't want that. I want somebody who has the right attitude and is ready to learn. If you think, oh, I have my degree, I'm done, I'm set for the entire, until I die, I'm all set. No, that attitude won't take you anywhere. So you have to learn new things and adapt and adopt. Those are very, very important, and I think that's pretty much what you need.
Thank you, Dr. Varni, for your. It was a very insightful and valuable conversation, and
I hope so.
I think,
Thank you.
yeah, I think our listeners benefited from it today.
I hope so.
Yeah. For our next set of questions, I would like to turn to Miss Anushka. Um, I hope you are doing well in Australia, ma'am.
Yes, I am. But at the beginning of the pandemic, actually, I also, like, as Dr. Anu mentioned, like, being alone in an island, it is something like that. Because I haven't been to Sri Lanka for nearly 2.5 years, and I haven't seen my parents face to face. So it was difficult at the beginning. But as Dr. Anu mentioned, like, I was also thinking, okay, like, depressing and thinking about it would take my time out of my research. And I had to remember, I have this set of time where I have to finish my research. So now I'm concentrating on finishing my research, keeping aside this pandemic. And also right now here, the situation is like entirely last year, we were having online classes. And this semester, first semester this year, we kind of moved back to hybrid classes. That means we have both face-to-face and online. So like the lectures are recorded and given to the students weekly, but the discussions are happening face to face. But still, there are some students who are from China, India, where they're stuck, so they cannot come back. So we are having discussion classes also online. So it's like hybrid method. And we are hoping to go back to full face to face by July if the borders are open. So hoping, so like Sri Lanka also, I think you all can have that hope because we have started face to face here. So there is still hope. So don't be pessimistic. There is going to be a time where you're going to go face to face. So just have hope and work. That's what I have to tell.
Thank you, Ms. Anushka. So I'm not sure if this is the case in Australia, But here, I think schools, teachers, we are like the students are spoon fed mostly. Like we are taught how to write answers, or how what to study, or how to study, or mostly we are memorizing things. This spoon feeding thing is kind of bad on us because the transition to university is difficult for us because in university you're on your own. Um, how can we make this transition easier or learn how to work on our own?
Yes, so this one, like, I also had the same experience because I was in Sri Lanka and I studied, like, and went to university, same university. So what I say is first you have to understand your role as an undergraduate starting. Like, you should think about this transition, and then like who is an undergrad? Is it like what is the difference between a school student and an undergrad? So mainly like your age is also coming to responsible age and all you're entering the university. So uh, it's like for example like getting a driver's license, so you can't get it in like at a certain age only you will get the driver's license. Why they have a certain age for that? Because a person should be responsible, independent to do that job. So similar to that, like our education system is built in that way, and like you're in that age where you can be independent and responsible. So coming into undergraduate thing, so mostly what we see is it's not studying, but I would recommend it as reading. You're reading for your degree, you're not studying for your degree. So it is more of your self-study, and the lecturers are there only for to guide you all. So they give you the proper guidance and you have to go by that guidance and do your own work. So that's one of the most important things. Uh, and also like what is this research work, what is this reading? So research is investigating, examining, and kind of coming into your own conclusions. So for this researching or reading, what do you need? You have to read books, you have to read articles. So that's the main important thing. So it's not only the prescribed materials that are given for your lectures that you have to look into, but you have to look into extra readings. You can go now internet. One of the things like you are now, I think with the online introduction of these online lecture sessions and all these things, you're more reliable on the internet than the physical books. But I have to say that the library of University of Peradeniya has plenty of books for classics, definitely. So please make the most of them. You have to do that, and then you have the internet also. So make sure you read a lot, and like the films, the extra materials, whatever you come across, just read them, share them. So that's one thing. And also when it comes to, it's not only the academic stuff but even the administrative stuff. I think that is also a challenge that the students face, because no one tells you to, okay, this is what the deadline for this is, or anything with the administrative stuff. And if it was like the time where you are going into the university, you would have notice boards displaying, okay, this is what you are supposed to do. But now it is a time where you have this online thing. But I think the websites are like the university website is providing you all these guidelines. So I think it's now has become easy, but you have to always keep in touch with your colleagues, with your seniors, and look into those things. And on the other hand, you have the huge academic responsibilities. Like you should do, the guide is given, I think you're given the C1 forms, so you have everything. Okay, each week you have these things, so you have to be ready for lectures. So the focus should be yours, so you don't have kind of don't expect someone else to kind of give you the guidelines and everything, but you yourself should do it. And I think a little bit later I'll be talking about how you can do this, like how you can self study. So yeah, and also like uh, if I'm talking about like how it was like for me from my experience, some of the milestones I had like in my university life. So the memory I have, like first is like getting the letter that I'm selected to the university. So that was really a memory. And then the second memory which I have really is that when I got like yeah, first year was smoothly going on, where you are like you're having this inquisitive nature and all those things. But then in the second year, I was so curious whether I was selected for specializing in classics. And I can still remember like standing in front of the department like until they give the results whether I'm selected or not. So that much passion I had for that. So then and then the third memory would be the day I got to know, I had this curiosity and the goal to get a first class. So the day I got to know that I have a first class, and then the graduation. So these things are really good memories, and I love my undergraduate life a lot more than the school life, because most of the time for the students, the school life is the best life. But for me, uh, it is the undergraduate life. I still like, if someone asks me, I'm like, yes, my undergraduate life is the best life I had. Yeah.
That's good to hear. So if we move on to like you said, when you're working on our own, and we have like since we're at home now, all our timetables have shifted, and the studying part, yeah, all the academic stuff we have to do by ourselves. Um, how like are there any tips you can share with us for self-regulated studying?
Yes, so actually here now I have like, one of the things is I have both the experience like studying face to face in Sri Lanka and like studying online for the first time here. So if I start, preparation is the first thing. Like before, like as Dr. Varadi mentioned, constantly planning, preparation, that's a must. So what you can do is like, what I from my experience is like that I plan the whole week or plan the day definitely, and that in that planning and preparation itself, like lectures is the most important thing for you all, you think that in the studying, but preparation for lectures is also important. So you read the prescribed text beforehand, not on the like on the day, or like, okay, just this is what. So one thing I can say is like, um, before a semester starts itself. So what I did was like, before the semester starts, I would kind of go through our department website and look into the subjects, the courses, and they have given you the prescribed text. So I would read them beforehand mainly. So, and also during the time of the semester also I would do that, and while reading I would take notes. So that is one thing I does. And also another thing is for planning and preparation is for your language classes. You have to do your translations, you have to do your preparation and go for the class, otherwise it's going to be difficult. And as I told you, you have to plan your week and the day ahead. So planning the week means you know that, okay, this is my lectures are going to, how the lectures are going to be. And planning the days, what I'm doing is like, normally it's not like school, you would have these gaps between a lecture. So you have to plan what you're doing on that also. Okay, I'm going for the lecture from 8 to 10, and then you may have a lecture from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. So in that between time, yes, I know you will be sitting in the Senate and like chatting with friends, and yes, you have that canteen time. Yes, those are really the university life. But apart from that, you also have to devote some time to the library, some time to take like look back to your notes. So that preparation is always there in my like kind of routine, where I would kind of plan the day beforehand and like have that plan. Okay, if it is like 8 to 10 lecture, then from 10 to 12, I would go to the library or I would work on this stuff. And then from 12 to 1, I would go for lunch, like that. So having that plan. Uh, Yes, and also, yeah, so that is the preparation. So you have to be prepared for prescribed reading prescribed texts and the extra readings and all those things. And on the day of the lecture, attendance, like that is really like, I don't know. For me, like I need to be in the lecture. That's something I believe. And for now, since you're in online, please do the like listen to the recordings or watch the recordings. That is a must. So you need to be there, and just attending the lectures by self is not enough. Concentration and listening. So if you concentrate and listen, that will be there in your memory forever. That's the thing. Like you don't have to kind of revise and do hard work. You can it sticks in your memory. If you like on the day of the lecture, if you are concentrating on the points that the lecturer says, that sticks in your memory, other than like you going through your notes or anything. And then like, yes, you are taking notes on the lectures, that is true. And the on that same day itself, what I tend to do is like, on the same day that I had the lecture, I had some notes which will write fast, right? So I would on the same day either go home, or if I have time in the university, a gap, I would like just sit down and write my own notes. and also like prepare my short notes for the exams later, so that I don't have to stay until the last moment to go through the like prepare notes and again go through them. So I would do that. Definitely I would make the notes on the same day so that it revises myself, like it helps me to revise, and also like it sticks more in your mind. And then if I have time towards the end of the week, when all the lectures are done for the week, I would again revise the whole week's things. And also when it comes to languages, learning languages, which I really like, Latin, and I also did Greek. So just one semester. So one thing is I did extra translations also, not ones that are kind of prescribed by the lecturer, especially in your like the grammar course, like the first, second semester, second year, where you do grammar. You have like your vlog provides plenty of sentences to translate, and you have extra readings there. So I actually went forward and did those extra readings. If you think about how you manage time, if you organize and plan, you have plenty of time to do these things, and your passion. So Latin is something I really like. So I did those extra readings too, although only certain amount of translations and certain were done in the class, giving the time limit, and only certain ones were given for assignments, but I still did more, so that I was well prepared for my end exams. And also for the assignments, I had my own deadlines. So I think Dr. Varuni kind of explained step by step how to do assignments. So one thing I wanted to add there is like I had my own deadlines for these assignments. So I would finish beforehand, and then I'm ready to submit. I'm confident, so I don't like kind of what you call have that stress at the last moment to finish it and all. So planning and preparation, as Dr. Varuni explained, yes, it is there, and then writing and also rereading your assignments before submission. So if you had kind of done your assignment beforehand, you would have time to reread your assignment so that you can gain more marks and you can find where you have gone wrong and just correct it and submit it at last. And also what I want to suggest for you all is like higher education is in Sri Lanka is free, which I understood the value once I came into Australia, because how the students are struggling here to get the education, because it's not free. The students has to spend thousands and thousands of money uh, to get their higher education, and like it is not given by their parents, even they have to do part-time jobs. So they're just taking loans from the government, and like they have to pay back the loan, so they're just doing part-time jobs and doing this higher education. I know there are students in Sri Lanka who are also doing part-time jobs. There are financial difficulties, these problems are there, but still higher education is free for you all, so please get the maximum out of it. That's the thing, you have the resources. And also another thing what I did was I did many some non-credit courses also in the middle of the standard 4 courses. I did non-credit courses, and that is how I did in one semester Greek. I can remember at the time Dr. Varani was the head of the department, so she had to kind of create a new course code for me, because I was doing Latin and Greek at the same time. So just get the maximum out of this education you have in Sri Lanka. So yeah, I think I hope I gave enough tips for this.
Yes, ma'am. I think everyone here appreciates it because it was something coming from a student, and yeah, we really appreciate it. It was insightful. Did like something I asked Dr. Varni before also, like being in isolation and doing the whole university thing at home, which we are used to doing with friends and while in company, in groups. And did, did demotivation occur to you? Like, did it affect you? Oh, and if
Yeah.
are there any tips you'd like to share that will help the students?
Yeah, one of the things that happened like once the pandemic started was like I was planning to come to Sri Lanka for my research work in June 2020. So like as soon as the pandemic started, the university announced that no, you cannot go on this trip. We are not letting you go because there's a huge pandemic happening. So that itself, like it's my research work where I was like, as you mentioned at the beginning, so my research work is both on Latin poetry and Sri Lankan poetry. So like I had to come to Sri Lanka to do I was supposed to come to Sri Lanka to do some research on the Sri Lankan poetry. So at once when I got to know about this, and like it was in a way I was like clueless. Okay, what am I going to do now? My research is going to stop here or something. But luckily, like our university offered me a 6 months extension for my research work, and also at last, like I got funding from the university for some books to be kind of I could purchase some books from Sri Lanka and get it delivered to here. So I was funded for that. So that was one of the things that affected me research work, but it was sorted out slowly, but it is not totally sorted out yet. I have to work on my own, and I'm also like hoping for the best. I'm hoping at least next year I can come and do it or something like that. So that is one thing. And then shifting to online learning itself was like a challenge for me because I'm not that good at this technical stuff. That is one thing. And then like at the beginning of this last semester, I had a coursework. So first 2 weeks were okay. We were going face to face, and then suddenly only the university decided we are going to go for online teaching. So uh, it was okay, like learning from it because it was the same. Like we had these Zoom calls and all those things. And yeah, doing presentations was also I find doing presentations online very easy rather than like doing it face to face, because you don't have that nervousness seeing the people live. Like in one thing was that, but the most challenge came to me was the exam time, because here it was like where you had like they gave us a particular time period. Let's say the paper was for 3 hours, so they would just email us the paper at about 1 o'clock, and then say us to submit it by 4 o'clock. So, and it is online. So I am not a good kind of, my speed is not good. So I understood that, okay, this is not going to work for me, because like getting the ideas is one thing, but I am used to writing, because that's how I was like in Sri Lanka. We would write the paper. So like typing a paper like with this set time period was a challenge for me, because I have seen the students here, my other colleagues, they're like, even in the lecture rooms, they don't use books, they're using their laptops in the class, and they're just typing, whereas I'm just writing down. So that was a huge challenge for me. And then at last, like I had to make a special request for the administration and ask that like I can't do this because I'm not confident, and like they were really understandable, and then they just gave me the chance to do that. So that's why like what we have to do is now we have to adapt to these things. So those are the challenges we come across. So adaptation is the best thing that we can do. So yes, it makes us kind of this online thing makes us less interested, and like uh, we are so much tired of this routine, the same routine daily now we are going on. It's not like you're going back to the university and meeting friends and all those things. You're missing your university life, yes, but as Dr. Varni also mentioned, we have to live with it. And don't forget that you have lived 1 year. Last year you survived this, so let's all get together and survive this, the rest also. It would be optimistic. Uh, it would be okay at some point.
Yes, Miss Anushka, like you said, it's the best we can do right now.
Yeah.
And we are glad that at least we have online learning, the opportunity to do that. In
Yes,
Sri
that's
Lanka,
true.
some students don't. Like, since we have to manage with this style of learning, is there any way we could make it less tedious? Our classes more interactive and less tedious?
Yes, there are plenty of ways. One thing is like I'm not sure, like maybe you're having both these methods. You're having like at a stretch like online itself classes, or maybe you're having recordings. And also like you have to like read these articles and books and all those things by electronic like resources. So one thing you can do is, if you're this can be done if you're like looking into recordings, or when you're reading, you have to take breaks, intervals in between. So at least 30 minutes or 1 hour, like that time period you have to take breaks. And taking a break or interval doesn't mean you just go away from the laptop or whatever thing, and again, or else like you're using another electronic device or phone, just going into social media or those things. That's not what a break is. Like you have to get away from your working space and you can do some daily chores, or like you can help your mom, dad, like spend time with your pet, just do some gardening, just run around the house exercising, right? You have to do something like that. So that would kind of reduce your like fatigue, eye fatigue and all those things. So you have to take that break. And also like another thing that you all so that's with the studying. And also yeah, when you're reading and all the stuff, so most of your applications that you are using would have these highlights and all those things, so you can make the maximum use of those things also. Highlighting, your circling, drawing, and everything that you do on paperwork, you can do in your e-resources. And one thing you can think positively is, okay, you're reducing the environmental pollution also in some way, because you're not giving out papers to the environment. You're using e-resources, which is something that is developed in the world now. So most of the countries, they're thinking about the environment now, so they're trying to reduce waste. So in one way, you're also contributing to that. So think on those positive ways that you can do those things. And also, since you're like missing your friends, missing your university life, one thing you can do is, like, this is done by students here, like they have this social media groups for each subject. So they would discuss about the issues they have on the subject, or like any problems that they have about the assignments that are assigned, and like anything they find new, a film or a book or an article that is related to that subject. So they would share this. So this is, university life is not an individual life where like you're trying to become first in the class or something like that. This is something, a journey that you, yes, you go individually, but you can share. That's a beautiful thing you can do. So share your ideas, share your thoughts. And if the whole group is having one question about an assignment or something, so then one person from that group can direct the question to the lecturer. So like that, like you can have that discussion forums in social media groups. And also uh, like a weekly like tea parties via Zoom. Like you can just, your groups of like subject wise or batch wise, something like that, you can just meet together for half an hour and just bring your own tea and just having that fun conversations via Zoom. I don't know whether it is possible with the financial circumstances and all those things, but at least twice a week or once a month, even if you can get together via Zoom, I think that would help you all. And also another thing is like changing your setting, because as I told you, you would get bored with that same routine and all those things. So uh, having a good workspace also is really important for your mental health as well as for the physical health. And also, like if you're getting bored and all those things, if it is possible to change your workspace time to time, that is also really helpful. And as Dr. Varun mentioned, yes, exercise is another very uh, helpful thing to get rid of this tediousness. And the other thing is, be hydrated. Always drink water. Have a bottle of water or a glass of water near your laptop or whatever the electronic device, and be hydrated. And yeah, I think those are the things that you have to do when you are learning online or teaching online.
Thank you, Miss Anushka. I was wondering whether you could talk a little bit about anxiety related to exams. Like it depends on students actually. Some students have it worse where they fall sick before them, and some are okay. But either way, it kind of hinders your performance. Are there any ways we can deal with anxiety with exams?
Yes, then okay, this is the thing. Like having that anxiety itself is like, I think it is with regard to the like preparation, as like Dr. Varun also mentioned earlier, like how you prepare is like different from student to student. Like you would have these notes highlighted, some would have diagrams, some would have flow charts and all those things. And when I was like telling about the tips for self study itself, I told you preparation and planning is the best thing. So if you had that, if you have that short notes, or the whatever the notes you have prepared beforehand, and then you get this 1 week of study leave, you have plenty of time to study. And also I think our art students get a huge advantage, but it depends on the year and all those, how the timetable is made, because it's not only 1 week, sometimes your exams fall at the end of the month, so you have plenty of time to study. So preparation, having prepared, makes you less anxiety, makes yourself less anxious, because like you are confident, then you know what you are writing. So how you have prepared and how you have studied, if you have studied everything, you're so confident, and that makes you less anxious for the exams. That's something I believe. And like reading your text, especially with courses like literature courses, you have to kind of like more than memorizing your quotes. If you had read your text 2 to 3 times, the quotes will be there in your memory. That's the thing. It's not like you can do something without memorizing, because you have to get ready and you have to read your prescribed text. And also, as I mentioned earlier, translations, also the same thing for language courses. If you had done those translations, uh, extra translations and all those things, it's easy. So you don't have to stay at towards the end of the semester to study everything, and to study the words, the Latin words and all those things. It would automatically come to you if you had revised time to time, if you had done those extra reading and all those things. And this semester by semester, although it is divided semester by semester, all these are interconnected. So you cannot just on one semester you do these subjects and you cannot forget those. You have to continue doing those for the whole 4 years. You have to have them in memory. So to do that, you have to be constantly working, hard working, while enjoying your life, extracurricular activities, university life. Yes, enjoy those. It's not only studies, but you also have to do those hard work also. So for example, like here now I'm doing my PhD thesis, and I'm also doing my teaching. But one thing I missed was doing Latin translation. So luckily there is a Latin group here where we do translations twice a week. So twice a week a group of people meet and we have this prescribed text. So we would do each one person get to do 3 to 4 lines. It goes around. So it is amazing, because there are people in their 80s in this group. So that means they have not stopped their translations after their 4 years of bachelor's or after their PhD or anything. They're still continuing to do Latin, and they're also a Greek group. So it's very fascinating how they're still enjoying the subject or the thing. And also, like, this is very like, people in their 80s are like, when it was like shifted to this online thing also, like everyone was worried, okay, is the group going to stop? Because we met face to face in the university, but their passion was so much, they kind of asked their grandchildren or children, and they set up these online things, and they are now like, we are joining online twice a week to do these translations. So that's right, the education, as Dr. Varunu mentioned, the studying doesn't stop at one point. If you have that passion, interest, and yeah, if you have that passion and interest, you can do it continuously. And also I wanted to add another thing, like even in the video, I liked this part where you had these different subject fields, right? Science and technology, uh, philosophy, politics, or this is what a classicist is. For me, a classicist is an all-rounder. So I think Dr. Vani also mentioned that. So we are, if you like, classicists are all rounders, so we are not kind of confined to one particular subject. You have all the subjects in your head. So do this continuous reading, do reading is the most important thing. Refer to your own notes, your own charts, or your own diagrams. Find the person inside you, how you're working and all those things, and work. Don't wait until the end of the semester to do all the work, but do this continuously from the beginning to the end. You would be succeeding in your exams, and you won't have that anxiety at all.
Thank you, Ms. Anushka. Um, I think you touched on it a little bit before, when you were talking about self-study. But is there anything you would say to a struggling student at home right now, who's demotivated and like to keep their mental health stable?
Yes, I think this is not only with regard to the online thing, but if you were doing face to face also in university life, you would have these ups and downs. That is not only in the university life, in every person's normal life also, you always have these up and downs. So one thing what I do is when I have these downs in my life is I'm thinking about my goal. What is the motivation? What is the end result of this? And especially just imagine if I kind of relate this to the previous question, exam anxiety. So you're like you're so stressed and like, oh, I'm have to do this exam. So what I think is afterwards of the exams, okay, once this is done I can enjoy myself. Okay, this is done and finished, so I can have my like, not for the whole life, but at least for some time until the next semester starts and all those things, I would have some free time. So think about the end results and end happy results, not the bad results but the happy results. So one thing is like you have to think about your goal, have that goal. Like you have different people have different goals, so you should be goal oriented and think about the goal at the end, which would kind of motivate you to study more. Okay, this is my goal, to this I have to work. And the other thing is, as I always tell, be optimistic. This is not something that has happened only to you or only to me. This is happening to the whole world. We have to live with it. And the case for some others are worse, as I think Dinuki also mentioned. Okay, it's at least better that we can do this. We can do online learning, but there are people who cannot do this. And like we are lucky now today, we can like talk to online and all these things. We can, like, I'm in Australia, you're in Sri Lanka, but still we can make these conversations and all those things. But there are some people who cannot do these things, and they're in worse situations, especially like India. What is happening in India right now is very like very kind of um, dangerous than what is happening in Sri Lanka. So be thankful for where you are now, and like whatever you can do, and think about your goal ahead. Okay, what is this? As I told you, like for me now, my goal is to finish my research as soon as possible as I can. So yeah, that is my goal right now. So like that, have your goal, think about your goals, and I think that would make you less demotivated, and like make you encouraged more to do your work.
I think these are the questions that we got before our presentation. If you guys have any questions, you can add them in the chat box and we can ask the panelists. And until we do that, we did get some questions before we sent out the questions to our panelists. And and either Dr. Varuni or Ms. Anushka or both can answer this. When we feel like we are losing interest in our subjects, is there anything we can do to get it back? Dr. Varuni, would you like to say something?
Um, yeah, you would probably want to ask yourself, why am I losing interest? What have I done to lose interest? I was interested in this all this time, but what happened? Why am I not interested in this now? Uh, did my interest change? Do I want to go in another direction? If so, well, let's think about that. But if you are totally losing interest in studies, that is a problem. That is a problem that only you can, I suppose, you can have a lot of support from different people, but only you can figure things out. Why am I losing interest? Have I selected the wrong subjects? Is it too late for me to change now? If it is too late, what do I do? Do I give up, or do I somehow finish this? And later, like Anushka said, if you think about what you can do after, the good things that will come after you have completed this, maybe I could change gear later on. But for now, like we're living this pandemic, we don't have a choice. Now that you have made choices to follow a certain course, but the regulations wouldn't allow you to change, okay, just try to live with it and do the best you can, because you have a goal afterwards to change direction. follow some other interests that you have. Because as I said before, from this example that I gave you of this digital marketer, very successful, is that he started with a general degree, didn't even have a special, but he was ready to learn, follow have dreams, just acquire the skills that will take you anywhere. So you don't have to be depressed about, oh, I lost my interest in this and that's the end of me. No, it's not. It's not the end of you unless you decide it's the end of me and you don't proceed. It's all in our hands. What we become is in our hands, because pandemics create new jobs. You would think that everybody would die. Not everybody is dead. They're still alive right now. Okay. So people are struggling, but still they're all struggling to survive. Find ways. This is the time to be creative. If this doesn't work, okay, what's plan B? You have to be open to new experiences. You have to be open to learning new things. That is where people are, successful people are today. They started with nothing, but it's their discipline. Discipline is also very important, self-discipline. If you don't have self-discipline, then you'll be a late learner, you'll be a bad learner. You may get to places too late, but if you're disciplined, it'll take you there. It'll motivate you. Right? All these good things will come automatically once you set the place up for you to, if you, like Anushka said, if you find this location where I sit and work is too familiar now, okay, I need to go out into the garden, just do that. Nobody is stopping you. So what we become really is in our hands. There's nobody else who's stopping us. If you set your mind to something and if you stick to it, if you keep improving yourself, keep planning, keep meeting the deadlines, you will get there. And everybody can do that. Even differently abled people have done this. So why can't the others? They're very successful differently abled people. They're called differently abled for a reason, I'm sure. So this is not the end of life or your career. There's hope. But you have to create that yourself.
Anushka, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, I just want to add something like if you're kind of losing interest in classics, that's something I don't see, because you don't lose that. But one thing you can do is like to make it more interesting, draw parallels with the real world. Like as Dr. Vanu mentioned earlier, also like Thucydides, the plague and this real world. So one thing I do when I'm studying this historical stuff is always drawing parallels with the modern world. So that's why like even my research is like I'm looking into the emotional impact of civil wars that happened in ancient Rome and the recent past Sri Lankan civil wars. So like that you can draw parallels with your subject to the others, and like you can look into other works like especially films and TV series. You have plenty of those based on classics. So if you can look into those things and find those things and share with others, I think that would make you more interested in this subject.
Yeah, we do have one more question. How to maintain consistent concentration? Is there any tips or methods we could use?
Who should go first? Anushka?
No, it's okay, Madam. You go first.
Okay. Don't be distracted.
Yeah.
There are plenty of things that will distract you. The current pandemic, the loss of life, the landslides, the people who died over the weekend. Those can be, if you really love your country, those could distract you. But at the same time, you can't let that you can't let that be the dominant sentiment, because then you would not want to do anything. You probably wouldn't want to get up. You'll be depressed. So you need to, again, focus. You need to prioritize, as I said. What are my priorities? Do I get distracted by the dog that barks or the cat that jumps into your room? Or do you just go ahead? So there'll be distractions. The world is full of distractions. Our lives are full of distractions. But it doesn't mean that, when you, for instance, in pre-pandemic times, when you set out from your home to come to university, you would have gone through a lot of distractions. You would have missed the bus. You would have fallen into a water puddle. You would have walked over a puddle. So many things would have happened. But did you not end up in university? You came to university. You came to your class late. So just because there are distractions along the way doesn't mean that you give up what you were planning to do until you change your plan and you do something else, right? So as Arushka mentioned, confidence is very important. You should be confident. You have to trust yourself. Discover yourself. Something that I have seen with undergraduates over the years is that they're so talented, but they don't know that. I would have said this so many times. You're so talented, but you don't know that. Why is that? Because you haven't had the opportunity to discover yourselves. You haven't done enough to discover your talents. So that's why you need to engage in so many different things. And the university offers you in pre-pandemic times, clubs and associations like this association. Why did we create this association? Classic Students Association. Because you're too talented that we just couldn't let it go. We have to get you to do other things outside your academic work, to discover yourselves. And you wrote a drama, you acted, and you staged it in Candy and Colombo. That's and the stage, the props were created by all of you. Everything was done by you. That was a massive task. And we could have done other things, and we could in the future do a lot of other things, do community work. So when you're if you think that you're distracted, just try to concentrate, try to focus, see what is important to you, leave out the unimportant ones. Remember what your goals are. Remember that you have to graduate in 3 or 4 years. And then after that, you can go into something else. Nothing will stop you. Like I said, this general degree student, she's going from one job to another because she's probably acquiring a lot of skills and she feels, oh, I need to switch gear here. And going into another field and acquiring so many skills that she's going to be too qualified at some point, find a job. So you can keep refocusing, focusing, changing, adapting, learning. You'll find your way. You have to test it out. You have to try it out. Don't do anything in theory. Theories don't really work very much unless you put into practice. Like Aristotle says, you can have virtue if you have virtue and sleep with it. You're not virtuous. Act it out. Show you're just by doing just actions. Show your kindness by being kind to people. Until you do that, you're not qualified to be called as such. So as an undergraduate, you're an undergraduate. There are things that you're supposed to do. You have a role to play, things to do that qualify you as an undergraduate. So do those things, which is get ready, do your exams, do well, graduate, and then move on.
Thank you, Dr. Varni. Would you like to add anything, Ms. Anushka?
No, I think Dr. Varun explained everything, so I don't.
Is there anyone who would like to ask a question from our panelists? You can either put it in the chat box or unmute yourself and speak. Okay, looks like nobody has any questions. Okay, I think that marks the end of our presentation, and that was a very valuable and insightful discussion that we had, both from the current students' point of view and the teachers. So we really appreciate you being here today. And now I'd like to invite Aisha to give a vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of this Classic Students Association of University of Peradeniya. We are very grateful and thank distinguished speakers, Dr. Varundatta Edirisinghe, Senior Lecturer, Department of Classical Languages, University of Peradeniya, and Ms. Anushka Dhanapala, PhD candidate, Center for Classical Studies, the Australian National University, for not only sparing their valuable time, but also for enlightening us. Without your presence, we would not have accomplished what we had dreamt for. And we owe special gratitude for the head of the department, Professor Rohana Seneviratna and Madam Mudita Dharmasiri for their valuable contribution, guidance and encouragement. Also, we would like to thank the members of the Classic Students Association for their enormous contribution to make this event a success. This program was the first online event that happened for the year 2021. The trial run we had on the 14th of May was also another mode of online learning, and we managed it remotely like a rehearsal. We learned new aspects while everyone shared their knowledge regarding technology and contributed to the changes on the format of the program and helped each other. Finally, we thank you all for your presence and cooperation given to make this event a resounding success. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you Ms. Anushka and Dr. Varuni for spending your time with us this morning and Ms. Anushka this evening. For someone, if anyone has not registered with us for the program, please do so. The link is in the chat box. And also, we'd be very grateful if you could fill the feedback form that Hilma just put in the chat box. I think that will help us be more, get better at our events that we'll be having later on this year. So until we meet again at another event from CSA, stay safe, take care, and thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good to see you all.
Thank you.